Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Unscaled Travel Show. I'm Jeremy Long, your host, here with my co-host and co-explorer, Amy.
Hello.
We are coming to you from beautiful Las Vegas, Nevada in the Diamondback Land Surveying Studios. And we have a really fun show lined up for you. If you have been dreaming of a far-off tropical vacation, just a chance to leave the hustle and bustle of your everyday life behind.
Hustle and bustle.
This is that show for you because we are going to chat a little bit about the beautiful island paradise of Madeira.
Madeira. Until you went to Madeira, I had never heard of it, sadly.
Yep.
And now you talk about it all the time, and I need to go.
I do talk about it all the time.
You talk about it almost daily.
Like, we'll just be standing there, get some froyo, and I'll be like, well, interesting fact about Madeira.
Or we'll be cruising through the wine aisle, and you're like, oh, let me see if they have any Madeiran wine here, because this was one of the trips where you really started to enjoy drinking wine.
Yeah, I was not a wine drinker before. Maybe just bad experience with wine or something like that. Maybe I had a really a bad flavor. I don't know. I don't know how you even describe wine, but this was one of those trips. Another one would, I think, be Brenham in Texas, where I really started to focus in and go, wow, there's actual really good wines out there that kind of appeal to my palate. Mm-hmm. And Madeiran wine is one of those things. So yes, I do have an annoying habit now of wherever we are, I look at the wine list, and if they don't have Madeiran wine, I close it quick and I'm like, oh, they don't have Madeiran wine. What cheap place did you bring me to? I can't believe I'm here. But one of those things that this beautiful island is known for. Also, it is sometimes referred to as the Hawaii of Europe. Madeira has been for many, many years like kind of a playground for people who are wanting to get away, much like what the U.S. has with Hawaii. Mm-hmm. It's a lot closer, obviously, to Europe than the United States. And the reason, a big reason anyway, that like a lot of people have been just now hearing about Madeira is that there are finally starting to be like direct flights from the United States to Madeira.
Okay. In
years past, you had to fly to Europe and then connect and fly, which would take, if you were coming from Las Vegas, that is probably like a 16-hour trip by flight. That is really, really wild, especially whenever you do have Hawaii, which is only from the West Coast about 2 or 3 hours.
Right.
So you're starting to see it pop up in more and more world scales, like travel publishers, such as Travel and Leisure. I think in 2023, they named it as like one of the top destinations to go visit. And it's, these kind of, that kind of recognition, I would say, has put it at the top of a lot of people's list to go and check out. It is like Hawaii in a lot of ways. It has this like, old volcanic kind of look to it, very high mountains. In fact, we'll get into it, that athletes go there and train a lot. But it also has, it doesn't quite have like the beautiful white sand beaches of Hawaii. I think the islands are much newer as far as geography is concerned, but it's still a very stunning location to go to. Rich history, incredible wine and food. So it just kind of makes for the perfect, if you can't visit, it makes for the perfect daydream anyway.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, for those of us who are not great with geography, where exactly is Madeira
Don't ask me
located?
That. I don't know. It's in the what ocean is that right there? Is that the Atlantic?
Yes.
Where are we at in the world? I don't know where it is. It's in the Atlantic Ocean. So it's actually, it's an autonomous island that is, owned by Portugal. Okay. So it's a Portuguese island, and it's actually like 3 or 4 islands kind of grouped together. But it's probably closer to Morocco. So it's off the Moroccan coast, but it's owned by Portugal.
Okay.
And it's owned by Portugal, but it's autonomous. It kind of runs itself and has its own thing going on, much like the U.S. with the U.S. Virgin Islands.
Okay.
You know, they're there, but they're kind of autonomous and they're doing their own
A lot
thing.
of the Caribbean islands are owned by
Yeah.
they're part of other countries, but
that's
they are their own country.
That's a whole history.
Yeah,
right
yeah.
there.
Which you love your history.
I will get into that if you want me to, but it's
Maybe next time.
Okay.
Maybe next time.
so it was Madeira was discovered in the early 1400s by Portuguese sailors. When they found it, it was completely uninhabited.
Really?
There were no people on the island. They didn't take it from anyone. No one was there. In fact, to this day, even animals, reptiles, such as like snakes, there are no snakes on Madeira Island. They never were introduced. Now, over those years, it became a very strategic location for Portuguese ships at that time to stop, get fresh water, food, and things like that to go to places like the Caribbean or further down the African coast or wherever these trade routes were. And so this is kind of where its story really begins in the 1400s and on. So it's
not that old of a nation.
Yeah.
But it's volcanic, so it's
old.
It's been there a long time.
Yeah. And it's kind of wild, but if you look at where it is on an actual map, you can see like you kind of understand why it took so long for people to find it.
Yeah.
And then, you know, obviously they didn't have like satellites or things like that.
There was no Instagram back then either. So the first person showed up and was like, look at this gorgeous island. And then suddenly 5 million people were there to take the same exact selfie.
Yeah. Hashtag blessed. Hashtag new island.
Tropical life.
Hashtag island life. Yeah. So, you know, it just has this really, you know, kind of fun history. Even people like Winston Churchill stopped there, like, you know, back in whatever those days were, like in the early 1900s and such. He loved to paint in the little villages. Imagine Winston Churchill just.
I can't.
He looks like just a bulldog painting. You know, he's probably got a Hawaiian shirt on, you know, cigar in his mouth. Stogie, just
everything I know about Winston Churchill, I know from the show The Crown. So.
That's a fairly recent show.
It is. So I really have no frame of reference outside of that, but I'll take your word for it that he visited this place.
So if you would call it a capital city, the capital city of Madeira is Funchal. Funchal.
Funch.
It just depends on where you're from. Some people, I heard it a couple of different ways.
You've heard it both ways?
I heard it with a psych reference. And that they get that from the Portuguese word for fennel, because when they first started trying to settle the area, they found fields of fennel, the actual vine and tree combination thing, growing there. So it was kind of like, they weren't very inventive with their names back then. Have you ever noticed that when... What old things are actually named for? And they're like, if it's a field and there was a horse in it, they're like, it was horse field.
This is Oak Creek because there's a creek with an oak tree growing out of it.
So that's where this name came from. It also has very famous laurel forests. So we'll talk about those in just a little bit. The main one being, you talked about Instagram earlier. Mm-hmm. Once we tell you about it, you'll go to Instagram and you'll see it. And you'll see the twisting. I mean, these trees are, again, hundreds and hundreds, some of them thousands of years old in this forest. And they've just kind of twisted with the wind and everything, allowed to freely grow for all this time. And it makes for, a lot of people go out there for like wedding photos or haunting. Like,
is this the one? Yeah, you just haunting. The one that you said kind of feels a little bit creepy, but like beautiful at the same time.
Yeah. It's one of those places.
Wish I could have gone with you.
Next time. The next time I'm going to the Hawaii of Europe.
You will take me?
Yeah. Full disclosure, it was a press trip. So, you know, I had to go do my press thing, be an actual journalist, come back here, tell people about it.
Yeah, yeah.
I think that was like 3 years ago. So I've done a really good job of doing that. So when we come back, we're gonna look at Madeira, where to eat, some of the wine you can experience, all the things you can do. It's a varied and wonderful location that Amy has never seen with her own eyes. And I am going to remind everyone about that throughout the show. It's the Unscaled Travel Show. Keep it right here.
Unskilled Travel Show is brought to you by Diamondback Land Surveying. For all your land surveying needs, contact Diamondback Land Surveying at 702-823-DBLS.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Unskilled Travel Show. I'm Jeremy Long here with my co-host and co-explorer, Amy.
Hello. I say it the same, and just snorted. I say it the same way every time because how else are you supposed to say hello? I have one word.
Howdy.
On my one line.
Hi there.
Pass the salt, you know.
These pretzels are making me thirsty. You need to find a way, okay? What were we talking about? Oh, we are talking travel. We are coming to you from beautiful Las Vegas, Nevada in the Diamondback Land Surveying Studios, but we are chatting about a place that's halfway around the world, from us at least, and that is the Hawaii of Europe, Madeira Island. It has a beautiful, interesting story. I won't get into all of that. I'll let you look that up, save that for another rainy day.
You mean more into all of its history?
It's so awesome.
I love how you always say, I'm not going to get into the history, and then you just start talking about the history anyway.
So anyway, it was 1650. All right. I know. Let's just do
we have to indulge you, but at some point I start giving you the eyes, and then you start giving me the eyes back like, okay, I see you.
When you've been married a long time, giving someone the eyes means a totally different thing. She's giving me the eyes.
Mm-hmm. Wrap it up.
Oh. So that's how it started, huh? Okay. We're looking at Madeira Island, which is a beautiful playground you can go and visit, but it has so much more. One of the things that I tell people that have never been to Madeira, first off, it's outside of their main city, outside of their capital city of Funchal. It's not overly developed. So it's not like going to the main island of Hawaii that is just resorts after resorts after resorts. There are a couple in the bigger city. And in fact, I'll talk about one in a little bit, the Hotel Savoy, which to this day, again, you know that I talk about the Hotel Savoy a lot.
Yes, you do.
It's a beautiful luxury property.
Yes, you do.
And we'll get further into that. But most of the other places on this island where it costs so much to kind of import goods and services and, you know, wood and steel and all these things you need for construction, they do a lot with the land. So you'll see a lot of properties that are built into the land or kind of semi-self-sustaining.
Okay.
A property that I stayed at, and I know I wanted to talk about some places that we ate at, but a lot of them grow their own produce. And that goes for the restaurants, that goes for the hotels, a lot of the wineries that are around. You'll see they'll have the wine, and then they'll also have like a little area where they grow their own vegetables to make with their meals and things like that. So it's an interesting place.
Well, you were telling me one of the restaurants you went to, the chef actually took you out back to his garden.
Yeah.
And let you walk around with him as he was picking the vegetables that he was going to make your food with. Like, does it get more farm to table than that?
Yeah. From vine to face, man, there's no one in between, you know? And that was this one restaurant, but that was actually the hotel restaurant. It wasn't even a standalone restaurant that you would find somewhere. That was just like the house restaurant or whatever. But everywhere in between the places to stay were rows of produce and fruits, and you could hear the bees buzzing because they were pollinating these flowers and doing all it. And in fact, it's called a nature hotel, and it's wonderful as well. But yeah, I mean, walking out with the chef, having him point stuff off the vine and go, what about this? Do you like this? Do you like this? You know, or whatever, and have these conversations, just having him pick it, going, hey, you know, we're going to wash this. And then in a dish, I'm going to serve you in about 30, 45 minutes. These vegetables are going to be right in it. It's
such a healthy way of living.
Yeah.
I wish we had more of that here in the U.S. because even when you're eating vegetables, most of the time they've been processed, all kinds of other stuff. Like that, I mean, you're growing your own vegetables and you're making them. And yes, I know I could grow a garden, but I can't actually grow a garden because, like, I'm one of those people that plants just wither and
when
go
your shadow
away.
passes over them. Yes.
Yes. So I can't personally grow a garden, but I wish I could. That seems like such a healthy way to feed your family.
When you have these island situations where there's just not a whole lot of land, because even with the land mass that they do have, they also have very high mountains and things like that, that you see villages kind of being built into the mountainside growing up, but there's only so high you can go before things won't grow right.
Right.
And then you are dealing with a completely different climate from near the water to up in the highlands. And so different things respond differently.
So I imagine their main meat is seafood, right? They don't have a lot of other...
Very seafood heavy. Okay. The other things you can imagine are imported. And with those imports, even from their mainland in Portugal, there's going to be extra costs and things like that. So you can find steak, you can find, different cuts of meat like that. It's going to be a more premium price. So most of the dishes find a way to work in the seafood that is quite literally caught right off their shores, right in the waters that surround the island. You see them out there. Several times the chefs came up to us and they were like, I caught this myself this morning, and it'd be a huge red snapper, which was the case at Maktub Pub. And that's MAKTUB Pub. The gentleman that owns it, he was like, I caught this morning, and it's the hugest red snapper I'd ever seen. And he made a tableside ceviche right there for us, just talking to us about the island. It was amazing. I'm not a ceviche person. I'm not, seafood heavy is not in my diet scheme, right?
Well, that's my fault. I don't really like it. But you do eat seafood. You've had ceviche before. Where did it rank on your ceviche scale?
It was delicious. I kept looking around at other tables, hoping that they also had ceviche so I could steal their ceviche.
Well, you also told me, I think, that you ate oysters somewhere, and you're not a huge oyster fan.
Well, not oysters necessarily, but limpets.
Oh.
Limpets are like a cousin of oysters. They're kind of in that same bivalve family. I probably totally messed that up.
Bivalve family? Is that what you just... Or is this Wheel of Fortune?
Bivalve. You don't know two-valve family? Did you say bivalve?
That's what I thought you said. I thought you said that like we were playing Wheel of Fortune. And I was like, how did we go from seafood to game show?
You made me start. You're so ridiculous. A bivalve. Limpets. They're like small shellfish. Anyway, limpets, you serve them in garlic and olive oil and lemon juice. That's just...
So what does it taste? Does it taste like other oysters, or what is it?
Depending on what you put on it. Yes, depending on what you put on it. Yes, it's kind of like an oyster or something like that. Go to the restaurant. Oh my gosh. You are killing me. Quite literally.
Where did you eat limpets at?
The restaurant. Quinta de Ferrero. We're going to have to take a break. Oh my God. I have to compose myself. I also have to introduce Amy to the world of bivalves. So she knows, so we can get back on the same page. It's the Unscaled Travel Show. We'll be right back.
Unscaled Travel Show is brought to you by Diamondback Land Surveying. For all your land surveying needs, contact Diamondback Land Surveying at 702-823-DBLS.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Unscaled Travel Show. I'm Jeremy Long. Remember, for all of our past episodes and interviews, check us out, unscaledtravelshow.com. You can also find us on all the major podcasting platforms, Apple Podcast, anywhere like that. You can find
I know
us.
you're trying not to laugh at me right now.
I can't even look at you, bro. I was laughing so hard. You know, I am a man in my 40s. the accidents I'm going to have aren't supposed to happen till later, but I almost had an accident on myself here. We were talking about beautiful Madeira and places to eat. I was trying to, before I was choking, laughing so hard there, places to eat on the island when you go there. I mentioned Maktub Pub, where it had the beautiful red snapper, ceviche, and wonderful places. The owner, I had his name somewhere and I forgot it, but he has a very interesting story, very laid back kind of guy that you would find in Hawaii. He spends his off time surfing and fishing, and then he comes back and runs this incredibly laid back casual restaurant that has one of the most beautiful like drives down to it, because obviously a few years ago they put in a highway around the island, but they don't have room to like go out and like, kind of go outside or around mountains. So they had to go through a lot of mountains. So a lot of tunnels, very beautiful tunnels. But when you come out, you have this long winding road down to the beach from the mountains. And in the evening time, when the lights are all there for the city, I mean, it looks gorgeous.
So what town is this?
What town is what?
Is this restaurant in? Because it's a whole island. There's different towns, right? And I know you went around the island, so you stopped in various places and ate. And I thought you had said this one was. I thought this was the guy's name. It was like Paul something, Paul Demar or something like that. And I thought that was the chef's name. And you're like, no, that's the name of the town.
Yeah, Paul Demar. Paul Demar is the name of the town or the little area. It's kind of on the west side of the island. Just beautiful place for, not very far from there is where you'll see surfers kind of congregate. It's where the waves get a little bit bigger. They do have some, I believe, some minor surfing competitions that show up there throughout the year. And so you'll see that happening there in Paul Demar. The other one I was trying to talk about before I almost died was Restaurante Quinta do Forero. That's on the north side of the island. And to this day, it is at least top 3 as far as most beautiful places I've ever sat down and enjoyed a meal at.
Really?
And I would still say our lunch at Amalfi off the Amalfi Coast is probably number 1. But this one is definitely up there because it has, it's in the cliffs that are in and around the northern part of Santana.
Okay.
It sits up top there. There's a hotel that's also attached to it. That's a beautiful hotel. Definitely recommend staying there. But the restaurant is there, and it has this beautiful dropping cliffs. You see the waves crashing against the cliffs are so tall. But it's a beautiful backdrop for a meal, for staying, just for going. You just see people drive up and they'll just walk out there to look at the cliffs.
Really?
And the lush vegetation that is on the cliffs and mountainsides.
And you said that's the north part of the island?
Yeah.
Cool. Well, what about in Funchal, the capital? I know you spent a few days there. Where did you eat there? That was like, if people are going to be there, they have to eat at this place.
In Funchal, if you're like looking for like a really good classic Madeiran meals, a Vista is, I think it has 1 or 2 Michelin stars. It is highly, highly rated. And there's actually another restaurant that's kind of connected to it. I forget the name of that one, but they serve up also just incredible seafood. They grow a lot of bananas and plantains, I believe, on and around the island. So they try to find ways and work banana into different dishes. So oftentimes you'll see, very high-end restaurants, they'll have different form of banana that they serve with it in different kind of ideas that are behind it. Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
But didn't you tell me they have like a banana drink, like an alcoholic drink that's banana flavored?
Oh, Lord. Yeah. Well, not banana, I guess, but poncha.
Okay.
Poncha. We tried we did an episode of our show where we did try spirits from around the world, and I brought back some poncha, and we tried it on air, and we're like,
I remember that now. Mm-hmm.
Believe me, they served it to us when we landed at the airport. It was kind of like a welcome thing. And for 7 days straight, I was just drinking poncha. That is their signature cocktail. It's very simple. It's sugarcane-based spirits. So basically, like what? Rum?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's rum.
Yeah.
They have a lot of old rum distilleries that are still active that opened like the 1800s. I think a couple of them back to the 1700s that are still open. They're still working. They're still producing really high quality rum that's very pure. So you have this kind of rum mixed with honey and usually of like a citrus. Most of the time you're going to find it with orange juice.
Okay.
Orange juice, sometimes like lemon juice or something like that. But it's
I thought it was
very
banana.
simple.
I remember it being bright yellow.
Yeah, bright yellow.
Okay. Maybe I'm just remembering a different flavor.
Is there banana juice?
I don't know.
Is
Mashed banana. What does that make? Mash? I don't know.
Can you juice a banana?
I have no idea. You can juice a carrot. Why can't you juice a banana?
Yeah. I mean, if you, I don't know. They might. That's a very good question. If you want to see how they actually do it, like in the times when they actually have the sugar cane in being pressed and like repressed and all the things, go to the North Mills Distillery. The North Mills Distillery has been there for hundreds of years and it's still operational. They have a beautiful little shop that you can go in and buy, their products, rum and everything else and all the mixtures. And they have a little bar in there. They let you try whatever you want. And it's a really interesting process. They have a great history with it. Also some like interesting things like what they used to call the best and worst job in the world was this guy who stood above the rum distillers and like kept having to use the thing to like mix it.
Things?
And basically his job was to watch it and control it. And every day it would just permeate his skin and he would just be out
Drunk.
of his mind.
He would go home drunk every day just from absorbing the alcohol.
Just from absorbing it.
Oh.
You'll never work a day in your life when you love what you do. It's Unscaled Travel Show. We'll be right back.
Unscaled Travel Show is brought to you by Diamondback Land Surveying. For all your land surveying needs, contact Diamondback Land Surveying at 702-823-DBLS.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Unscaled Travel Show. I'm Jeremy Long here with my co-host, Amy.
Hi.
We're coming to you. You're mixing it up?
I'm trying to.
We're coming to you from beautiful Sin City, Nevada, in the Diamondback Land Surveying Studios. Man, you're killing me. We're talking about the beautiful island paradise of Madeira. Amy's changing up her greeting. The poncha is flowing. I know we want to talk about the wine, and we were just talking about the rum distilleries and all the interesting history, but also the deliciousness of poncha. It's like one of my favorite cocktails in the world. It's so simple, it's so wonderful. But before I get to that, let's talk about running through the mountains. I don't know how to segue that. No, what to do on the island, because when you go there, they're different vacationers, right? There's some people that just want to sit and chill. I got a book or I got my music and I just want to do nothing.
Right.
And then there are the people we don't like, which are the people that are like, let's go do stuff on the vacation.
What are you talking about? We are those people. I want to lay on the beach.
No one likes us.
And you're like, no, we need to go hike 17 miles through the city up to some, historical site where there's just a plaque.
There's often a plaque. There's often an observation deck.
Yes, a viewpoint of the ocean because water looks different everywhere.
I tell you what, Madeira has it all. Okay. Hiking. They have the beautiful forest. You can go through coastal thrills and destinations you can find out. There are also interesting things like off-road tours. Now, I mentioned Madeira's highway system. They have very good roads there and all of that. But there are also a lot of dirt, like off-road that go through the mountains, that kind of go to these back little villages and things like that. And it's very interesting to see. I got to do this. It was a lot of fun. The roads are very narrow.
And weren't you...
So it's an adventure.
That's what I was going to say. Weren't you a little bit, I won't use the word fearful.
Oh, no. I was scared out of my mind.
Because you were, from the way you explained it, these roads are like on the sides of mountains. And they didn't really have a great guardrail system, right?
So you're like looking down.
Yeah, you're looking right over the edge, which lucky I wore my dark pants. But you can find a company, really great people. This company called Bravelanders. Bravelanders tour. They do tours of Madeira and also one of the nearby islands, but they'll come and pick you up and Land Rovers and, just kind of chart you around or bring you around the island to different points. They brought us to the very end points of the islands, through the mountains. Like I said, all these little remote valleys, all discovering like the history and different things of like the small villages around. It was a really, really fun time. The guides are super knowledgeable. They're very, very fun, very friendly. And so it's one of those things we don't mention a whole lot of like exact companies, a whole lot, it's more of like, oh, go here and go do this. So for one, because there's so many, but this is one I highly recommend because we had such a good time with them.
Well, so you think this is a good way to like actually see the island of Madeira, like get away from the main touristy spots and really get out and experience the real Madeira.
Yeah, because they'll make stops too. If you ask them very kindly, they'll stop because Madeira is also one of those places you'll be driving by. You'll see little places on the side of the road. Oh, I want to stop and check this place out. They'll pull it. They have no problem doing any of that. And once you have them for the entire day, if you book in all day, you got them for the entire day. They'll take you to the touristy spots that have the observation decks and the cable cars, stuff like that, and funch out. That's very cool. Go do that. But if you want to see away from all of this stuff, I definitely recommend the Bravelanders tour, and they'll scare you. But it's a good scare, right? They never have any accidents.
It's like a roller coaster.
Exactly. And I mentioned earlier about how athletes train there. The mountains make it an ideal place for a lot of athletes to come that do ultimate trail running. They run these extreme trails around the world. They train here throughout the year. They also have a few of these races on Madeira Island, but they train here throughout the year because of the altitude and the rugged trails that you get to run and see and everything. So it's a good place. This is also a place that Ronaldo.
That's what I was just about to ask. Isn't someone famous from there?
If you like soccer or football, then you'll know that Ronaldo grew up on this island. He went to school here. In fact, the airport is now named after him. You'll see different museums and statues and everything else dedicated to superstar footballer Ronaldo everywhere. And they'll even... I think you can go by like the elementary school or wherever
he went to.
And these little dirt fields that they're out there playing football in that, have produced one of the game's greatest.
So if you're a super fan, you can go stalk where he grew up.
Absolutely. Which is a weird connection for us because we also went by the place in Portugal during our road trip that one of his homes, one of his many homes is wherever, that little place. So it's a kind of a connection there for us. But
you also mentioned earlier that there's some of the places around the island are really known for surfing. Mm-hmm. So I imagine because it is an island, like if you're a surfer, you've maybe heard of Madeira.
Yeah. I don't know the exact name of the surfing competitions that are that come through Madeira, but a lot of surfers know the locations. They know it. In fact, from a distance, we saw them, a group of surfers out there just like testing the waves or whatever. Different points, times throughout the year, huge waves are out there. Not quite like Hawaii, that whole scene there, but it is a place that they flock to and they keep it on the map, man. As far as just going to a beautiful location and seeing something like that. They also have a ton of festivals. So like just things to do throughout the year. Like right now we could go to Carnival. They do celebrate, have a huge Carnival celebration. It takes over the entire island. Same with their flower festival. Same with New Year's. Oh. They rock in New Year's like no one else. Most people get on boats. So you'll see a ton of boats outside of Funchal. And then they'll see just fireworks all night. And you see the entire island kind of lighting up. But everyone's on a boat just watching these things go off. So
that's cool.
It's a very cool thing to do. And in fact, they talked about it a lot because it's just one of those things that like almost the entire island
participates.
Small boats,
wow.
huge boats, some as big as your head. Anyone else get that reference? It's an Unskilled Travel Show. We'll be right back.
Unskilled Travel Show is brought to you by Diamondback Land Surveying. For all your land surveying needs, contact Diamondback Land Surveying at 702-823-DBLS.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Unskilled Travel Show. I'm Jeremy Long here with my co-host, co-explorer Amy.
Hello.
Coming to you from beautiful Sin City, Las Vegas in the Diamondback Land Surveying Studios. And we are chatting about the island of Madeira, things you could do, places to eat. And a little bit later, talk about that wine, baby. Red wine. I don't know. That's a song, right? But we were talking about the things to do. Mm-hmm. You mentioned the surfing outside of Paul de Mar and the different festivals you can go to. It's really an island that there are some more touristy things to do. They do have like a big cruise ship industry. Sometimes you'll go out there, see a couple of cruise ships in the port of Funchal. And, but the further away you get from Funchal, which is their main capital city, the more it's going to be like the real Madeira. It's going to be catered less to tourists and more toward people that are off the beaten path, I guess, or any of those things that you want to say.
I know how much you love that word, that phrase.
Yeah. What we mentioned of Fennel Forest.
Yes.
Fennel Forest is a UNESCO heritage site. It's a beautiful, kind of hauntingly beautiful, like thousands of year old trees that are out there. It's more like northwest part of the island in the mountains. So we were talking about the Nature Hotel. From there, it would take, I think it took about an hour and a half or so to drive from there, from the coast into these mountains. This is the forest. If you look up the Fennel Forest, Fanal, okay? If you look it up on Instagram or anything like that, you're going to see these beautiful, almost eerie photos.
Yeah.
Because these trees are twisted and old. There's even one called that's famous called the witch tree, and I think it's like 800 or 900 years old. But oftentimes during the middle of the day, and I experienced this myself, a fog from the water down below, like just rolls into this forest area, which it didn't get super, super heavy the day I was there, but it can get pretty heavy, which is how you'll end up with a lot of these just beautiful, kind of eerie photos.
Eerie. Yeah, that's the word I was going to use. It's in all the pictures that I've seen, it was like this kind of eerie, almost if you've seen the Sleepy Hollow movie with Johnny Depp in it, like that kind of feel to it, a little bit dark, but still like beautiful in a way.
Yeah.
But didn't you tell me that like they drove you to a certain point, but then you had to like hike the rest of the way up to the witch tree?
They bring you to a certain point, and there are like small, I mean, when I say small, very small parking lots, but they only allow cars a certain distance in, and then everything else is on foot. I think there was a ranger station out there or something like that, but for the most part, you just see people walking through these fields. And if it's foggy and if it's a dense fog, you just have people just come out of nowhere and you're like, whoa, what's going on there?
Are there not like trails?
There are only like a couple of trails. There's a couple of trails that kind of wind around, and you can follow those around. But for the most part, a lot of people were just walking through these fields, just looking at these trees. In fact, I was with another member of the press. His name is Stratton Lawrence, and he climbed inside of one of these trees. It was so big and so open, and we took some fun photos and everything. And so it was like a lot of fun. But then you come right up to the edge of these cliffs that it just opens up to the water below. And
wow.
They did have some like livestock out there. So like they do have some kind of grazing. I don't know if
Somebody
like locals
brought a
get
cow.
to just one cow. Like, there were multiple cows, but they were just kind of hanging around, just like, and they were very calm, very used to people, and people weren't messing with them. So live and let live, right? But also on the island, you'll have tons of opportunities for like whale watching. throughout the season. Dolphin watching almost year round. The dolphins live like right off the island. There's also levadas. Levadas are centuries old irrigation channels. These were the paths they are man-made. They cut them through like the mountains and along these paths and everything to bring water from one side of the island to the other. It's very ingenious how they did this. I mean, because you're talking about if the island was settled or began being settled in the early 1400s, well, one side, I think the northern side of the island is a lot wetter than the southern side, but you still have crops on the southern side of the island. They had to have water, so they have these irrigation channels. Very popular to walk along these and just see a lot of the island. It's a lot of their walking trails and hiking trails involve these levadas.
So are they like open, like a ditch, a drainage ditch kind of?
Almost like a small drainage ditch that carries fresh water around.
And people like just hike along it?
Yeah, they have, some of them are more built up than others. So they have like clear cut paths. Some of them have very modernized paths to keep people safe from slipping and things.
Okay.
But then the further you get into different mountain passes, you can find just ones that are just dirt, that are along this. But they had to keep them up. They had to keep them like
so do
going.
They still use these to transport
I have tons
water?
of pictures of video where, and not just a little water trickling down, it's like rushing water.
Wow. Okay.
Is doing it. So they still use this system hundreds of years after they were built. And it's really quite ingenious, and it's really fun to kind of explore along these paths.
Well, something else I know you have grown to enjoy, partially from this Madeira trip, is going to wineries.
Who would have thought?
I know. You're such a beer guy.
I am. There's a beer right now.
But we mentioned this earlier. You talk about Madeiran wine all the time, and you have a fun fact about Madeiran wine and the U.S. founding fathers. And I'm going to let you tell all of our listeners about it.
Madeiran wine was very happily enjoyed by our founding fathers. So George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, these guys. In fact, I believe Washington's inauguration, they toasted with Madeiran wine. Thomas Jefferson was famous for keeping cask of this beautiful, delicious Madeiran wine. And over the years, our ties to France and everything kind of pushed a lot of Madeiran wines out in favor of French wines. And then later, in the U.S. history would be Napa Valley, things like that. But Madeiran wine is kind of making a comeback. And in fact, one of the big ports back then was Charleston. And it still is for Madeiran wine. You'll still find a lot of wine that comes through the port of Charleston and everything. So there you go. We have this tie to Madeiran wine with U.S. history. And if you visit, they will tell you early and they will tell you often. They're very proud of the fact. They're like, hey, U.S., George Washington drank it at his inauguration. Him and his generals cheered it on, and had this love for it and everything. And he kept it at his house and everything like that. So
fun fact of the day.
There you go.
So do they have a lot of wineries on the island?
They have a lot of vineyards. They have a few like actual wineries that produce enough to send out to different locations. One of them being H.M. Borges Winery, which was established like in the 19th century, so the 1800s. Still family run. The Borges family still runs it.
Wow.
And they have tours at every single one of these places. And it's just a wonderful experience to see how they do it, because a lot of the ways that they still produce it it's how they produced it hundreds of years ago.
Really?
So they haven't changed the process. I mean, they've updated it so, for modern cleanliness and things like that in certain areas. But for the most part, it's just how they did it, I guess, when Washington was drinking it.
So
there you go. That's American.
Did you go to one of the wineries?
I went to a few.
Oh, okay.
We did go by the H.M. Borges Winery. We did go by one that's called Quinta do Barbacerio. I'm going to mess that up. I'm sorry. This place, the Quinta do Barbacerio, one of the most beautiful places I've ever been to.
Really?
It really is. It's like a vineyard and a winery, like in this valley, and there's a white church that's off in the distance, and you get to just kind of look and be a part of that. And you see a white cross coming out of the forest and everything. It's a gorgeous place to just sip wine and see.
Okay. Well, I guess I need to go there without you now.
Absolutely. You should. Everyone should without me. Keep it right here on Scale Travel Show.
Unskilled Travel Show is brought to you by Diamondback Land Surveying. For all your land surveying needs, contact Diamondback Land Surveying at 702-823-DBLS.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Unscaled Travel Show. Welcome back, anyway. If you're just now joining us, welcome. I'm Jeremy Long here with my co-host, Amy.
Hello.
For all of our past episodes and interviews, check us out, unscaledtravelshow.com. We're in the Diamondback Land Surveying Studios. We're talking about the island of Madeira, the things to do there, places to eat, the beautiful wine. We were just talking about the wine. Oddly enough, a lot of the Madeiran wine you'll find here now is dessert wine. Mm-hmm. Heavily fortified. You'll have it at the end of a meal. And it's a little pricey, and you'll get a little taste of it, but it'll knock you on your tush. It's meant to put you to sleep.
It's sweet, though. That's why they call it a dessert wine?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's sweet, and it's kind of a little bit heavier than a lot of your other wines, but it's that little nightcap. When people talk a nightcap, there you go. Real interesting. Last thing I'll say about the wine, right? It got its signature taste. Madeiran wine blew up because, like, oh man, people started going crazy for it, which was a lot different than how they initially created it. But during those, they would put these barrels on ships during those long sea voyages, the rocking motion and the temperature changes when they would get from Madeira, which has a subtropical microclimate and everything, but also you get to much warmer areas like the Caribbean where these ships were often headed. The rocking motion, the temperature changes would basically cook the wine on these voyages. And once they would stop and taste the wine, they were like, holy cow, this got a lot better and improved the shelf life and everything else. So
interesting.
That's why they toasted the Declaration of Independence signing with it.
So cook your wine, folks. Pro tip there.
I learned from a travel show to cook my wine.
Boil it.
There's also an interesting thing like toilet wine. So that's a different show, though. We'll talk about that. But
speaking of toilets,
I mean, you got to have somewhere to go and you got to have somewhere to stay when you go to Madeira. So I did get to stay at a couple of different properties. One of them I mentioned earlier was the Savoy Palace. Hotel Savoy, the Savoy Palace. It's right there in the heart of Funchal. Beautiful. It's ideal for people who want modern. They want luxurious. They have a spa that goes on for days and days and days. It's so big. Also, they have things like rooftop bars and rooftop swimming pools that overlook the city and overlook the ocean. And you can have breakfast up there because there's a restaurant at the top. So it's like one of those really luxurious modern hotels. And it is one of the nicer places I've ever stayed in my life.
It sounds gorgeous.
And it is.
I know you like it because now every place we go, you compare the hotel to this one.
Yeah.
And you will say, well, it's no Savoy.
Yeah. It's often when we walk into La Quinta.
We don't usually stay at La Quinta.
And I'm like, this is no Savoy. And then you get two separate rooms for us. That happens. So...
But this, like you said, it's modern, it's luxury. It's, I would say maybe not if you're really wanting to experience Madeira, maybe not that. But if you're wanting just like a very nice hotel or
you're on vacation
travel experience,
you're trying to deal with ultimate luxury.
Yeah.
And whatever that means for you, whether it's just a base, I want an incredible place to lay my head at night, have all kinds of different restaurants, not only on the property itself, but within walking distance, all of that. There you go. The Savoy Palace. And it is a palace. It is huge. It is beautiful. That's the place you should go to. I also mentioned a little bit earlier about these hotels that do a lot of work with the ecosystem, and they use and cultivate the land that they're on. This one is called the Socalco Nature Hotel. It's in nearby Calheta, which is maybe 30 minutes outside of Funchal along the coast. Again, going toward like the western side of the island. But this is the one where they have an on-site restaurant, and the chef walked out with me. And I know he was doing it because I was asking him a question, being a journalist there and everything. But, you know, helping me pick out fruit and vegetables from the vines that were intertwined with the rooms. The rooms are individual, so it's not like a hotel stay. It is more like separate rooms everywhere. Some of them were side by side, but all the land that it sits on was utilized.
Like little bungalows?
Almost.
Okay.
Almost. They even have one called the cave room, which is built into the side of into the mountain there that has the cave or has the wall like into the room and everything. It's really, really cool. A lot of people rent it out, but it's kind of like an eco chic escape. So you're surrounded by these gardens. They're focused on sustainability, immersion into Madeira's natural beauty. One of the most gorgeous places to catch a sunrise. I'm telling you, like every morning I actually woke up early. Like I'm going to go out there because everything you talk about golden hour.
Yeah.
The entire island looked golden.
Wow.
And where the hotel is perched on these high cliffs, you get a beautiful look of the coastline. You get the trees right behind you. If you're looking out to the ocean are the mountains. And most of the time the tips of them are covered in, fog and mist and clouds.
So this is near the Funnel Forest?
It's not too far away.
Okay.
I mentioned, I think it's about an hour and a half drive to the Funnel Forest.
Okay.
And I think about an hour and a half or so from Paul du Mar.
Okay. So this is the west side of the island.
Yeah.
So if you want to get out of Funchal and kind of experience and not just drive through the rest of the island.
Yeah.
This is where you would stay.
This is more experiencing Madeira.
Okay.
They have a lot of that. Another place on the north side of the island, we talked about the restaurant that was attached to it. One of the most beautiful meals I've ever had because of its location. Right next door is the hotel. It's the Hotel Quinta do Ferreiro.
I'm proud of you for saying that.
That was probably wrong. But I said it with confidence. That's all that matters. So Cliffside Haven in Santana. And it's, as the name describes, you have panoramic views of the North Coast, easy access right, pretty darn close by to the hotel for hiking trails. And of course that on-site restaurant and everything. So it's a little bit rustic, but a little more refined too. You're going to have your modern amenities, but at the same time, out front was a huge garden that they were growing the fruits and vegetables that they use in the restaurant.
Wow.
Right nearby. So
that's really cool.
They're trying to maximize their space. They're also very, very heavy into sustainability. As you can imagine, everything on an island comes with a price tag. So the more you can reuse and recycle, the better for not only our earth, but better for prices. It keeps things, a little bit lower and everything. I would recommend, though, staying there and doing a little bit of both of them. I had some nights in the Savoy Palace, but we also had nights in the Socalco Nature Hotel. I recommend doing something like that. You get the relaxation of the Savoy Palace. You get all those amenities, but also you get to switch gears a little bit and go be one with nature. And it's nothing quite like waking up, leaving your room, walking down the path, go to, where you're going to have breakfast or whatever, and passing through, like lines of lavender, and like you get all the smells and you smell garlic and all of that stuff, and you hear the bees and bugs, doing their thing, and they're like active participants in all of this as well, and it was really nice to be a part of that and walk through that and have that become like just an everyday occurrence, that they have all these little places set up that you can go and just sit. You can just look at the water. You can just be surrounded by nature and really just kind of, it's almost like a reconnecting part. So you get these different perspectives.
I mean, here we would call it a wellness type of hotel. Focus on your, like meditating and your personal wellness. But there it's just like, we're just a hotel like that's connected to nature.
It was so beautiful, man. And I do talk about it a lot because it really did open my eyes to a bunch of new things, new experiences. I was happy to write about them. I was happy, like things like this, to talk about it, tell people about it. And believe me, even though I butchered the names of a lot of these places, you're going to be able to find it on unskilledtravelshow.com. Everything written out, so you can actually Google these things. Don't take my word for it. If you listen to this show, you know.
He can't pronounce anything.
I can't pronounce. I speak English poorly.
You do better than me. I can't pronounce things in other language. I can't pronounce a lot of things in English. So, we just do the best we can.
We do the best we can.
At least we're trying.
Yeah. You learned something? You learned about bivalves?
I did.
Not buy a valve?
Never heard that before. I really had no idea what you were talking about.
You literally almost killed me there.
It's my goal in life to make you laugh until you cry, and I think I just did it today.
Well, there you go. Mark that one off the list. You got me on that one. And you did it right in the middle of the show, so it's good stuff. Thanks, everyone, for listening. I'm Jeremy. She's Amy. It's the Unskilled Travel Show. We will see you guys next time.